Hey, have you ever been jolted awake at 2 a.m. with a $1 million idea? Maybe even a $1 billion company, like a new app or an AI agent. Then the next day, what happens? You let it slowly die in doubt. But what if there was a secret framework that $1 billion founders used to destroy doubt before it ever appeared? It's called the idea maze. And understanding it is exactly what separates the winning founders from everybody else. So what exactly is the idea maze? It's not just a catchy metaphor. It's the rigorous process of simulating every challenge, twist, and turn that your startup idea is going to face. And you do it years ahead of time before anybody else notices. Steve Jobs is a great example here. When he envisioned the iPhone, it wasn't just a phone with a touchscreen. He anticipated everything. What apps would people actually use? How would developers build them? How much would people pay to download an app? And how would Apple navigate the relationships with all the various disparate carriers? He foresaw those details years before they became a reality. That's the power of the idea maze. It's not entering a market first, it's entering a market that's ready. And you have to obsessively map out every scenario long before you even build your prototype. This is exactly why investors hate pitch decks and slideshows. They always prefer an alpha or beta prototype, even if it's rudimentary. A pitch deck isn't proof of progress. It's just an admission that you haven't gone through the idea maze yet as a founder. And investors know that ideas on slides are cheap. Anyone can promise success in a theoretical landscape. But a prototype shows that you've grappled with real-world obstacles, you've adapted to feedback, and you've walked that maze. It separates the dreamers from doers, and it signals clearly who is ready to build $1 billion company and who's not. Think of the idea maze as the ultimate startup cheat code. So here's the secret. Great founders often complete their maze before they launch their startups. They've mapped it all out years in advance. This isn't some well-kept secret, though. Google's founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin did it. By the time they approached investors, their search engine wasn't just an idea. And they never whipped out a PowerPoint slide deck either. It was a fully functioning prototype. It was meticulously refined after navigating countless maze-like obstacles at Stanford University. So how do we efficiently index billions of web pages is what they asked themselves. They also asked, how do we scale servers globally? How do we monetize without losing trust? They didn't pitch dreams. They pitched reality. It was carefully navigated and rigorously tested. Investors weren't betting on the idea of Google. They were investing in founders who had already proven their mastery of the idea maze. And now all those ideas are being threatened and reinvented all over again with the next generation of AI entrepreneurs. But navigating the idea maze isn't just about anticipating obstacles or building prototypes. It's about forming a world-class startup team. See, startups aren't built by lone geniuses. In fact, that's one of the greatest myths of Silicon Valley. They're constructed by unified teams who have walked through the idea maze together. PayPal is a great example of this. Before becoming multi-billionaires, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and the rest of the quote-unquote PayPal mafia spent years navigating the idea maze. They debated internally fiercely, and they solved hard problems and pivoted multiple times, even merging separate companies to form PayPal in the first place. It was called X. The original idea, though, was from Peter Thiel, and it was about beaming money on Palm Pilots that don't even exist anymore. They found out through the idea maze that emailing money was their product, even though it was an obscure feature at the time buried in their tech stack. Elon Musk said many times in interviews that they thought that their main product was going to be an amalgamation of your financial life. Think of it like an operating system, not a money transfer service. See, they took a hard pivot and they went through the idea maze together. But the result wasn't just $1 billion exit. It was an iconic team forged by collective mastery. See, after PayPal, that same internal team didn't retire. They went and launched Tesla, SpaceX, LinkedIn, YouTube, and countless other companies that ended up changing the world. Why? Because mastery of the idea maze had turned them into an unstoppable building team. See, investors do not bet on ideas. They bet on teams. And there's no better team building exercise on earth than navigating the idea maze together. Have you actually wondered or stopped to think for a second how top venture capitalists instantly can tell which founders have that secret sauce? It's simple. They test how deeply you've navigated the idea maze. When VCs grill founders in their boardrooms, they're not seeking perfect answers to questions. They don't care. They're testing your depth of thought on the maze. Have you already tested prototypes with real users? And what critical pivot have you already made, and why did you do it? What's the one catastrophic challenge you're already solving before they point it out? See, these are all questions they ask, and maze masters answer these effortlessly because they've thought through them for years. Inexperienced founders fumble. This isn't just a VC tool, though. It's your blueprint for success. But there's two goats who mastered the idea maze from past history that we have to talk about. The first is Thomas Edison. He didn't pitch investors abstract ideas about the incandescent light bulb. No, he painstakingly built thousands of prototypes. He famously said he found 10,000 ways that wouldn't work. It wasn't failure. And then he finally created a practical, market-ready electric bulb. Each failed bulb, though, wasn't a setback in his mind. It was another turn he navigated through the idea maze. Another favorite example of mine is Henry Ford. He didn't persuade investors with promises or slide decks of his first car. He proved his ideas with the prototype. He actually built it in his kitchen, or so the legend goes, and he had to bust down a brick wall to get it out. See, after relentless experimentation and testing, Ford built a working Model T. He demonstrated exactly how he could revolutionize transportation and mass produce it. Some even say he didn't invent the car, he invented the assembly line by going through the idea maze. But both Edison and Ford didn't merely dream, they actively navigated their own mazes through tangible, tested prototypes. They earned investor trust, and they dominated their industries. Their success was not accidental. It was a deliberate mastery of the idea maze. The idea maze isn't about being clever or getting lucky. It's about mastery. And legendary comedian Steve Martin said it the best. He once gave advice to a group of young comedians, and he gave them timeless advice that you'll never forget. He told them, be so good they can't ignore you. This advice obviously isn't limited to entertainment. It's exactly how billion-dollar founders operate. They do not wait for luck to knock at their door. They meticulously map their idea mazes, they overcome challenges in advance, and they become so good, it's impossible or unreasonable to ignore them. So let me know in the comments below right now. Are you so damn good that nobody on earth can ignore you? If you're not, you've got work to do. Now, take a second and think about this. Have you observed how groundbreaking ideas always seem obvious in hindsight? Think about it. Airbnb, Uber, Netflix, Instagram. Today they seem like no-brainers. Yet each one of those products was dismissed by skeptics at the time. Airbnb's critics, and Brian Chesky, the CEO, has shared emails from VCs who have turned it down. They said things along the line of, who wants to sleep on a stranger's couch? With Uber, Travis Kalanick constantly got the rejection of who would get into a stranger's car. At Netflix, Reed Hastings, the CEO, constantly got the rejection of why stream when DVDs work fine and you can own them. You can't own a stream. But these ideas weren't immediately obvious. They became obvious only after their founders painstakingly navigated the idea maze. The secret is once you conquer the idea maze, your solution looks obvious. And that's only because you've done the hard work of removing all the uncertainty. So remember, if your idea isn't obvious now, then that's a sign you still have a maze to navigate. And that's good news. Mastering the maze turns all your crazy ideas into stupid, simple, inevitable ones. So here's your reality check. Ideas are worthless. And I know you hate to hear that because you think your idea is going to change the world. But a great VC once told me that great ideas are worth about $5. Navigating your idea maze is priceless. You're not just building a startup here. You're crafting your future by anticipating every challenge, twist, and turn. So stop chasing dreams, start navigating your idea maze today. And comment below right now, what's one challenge that's holding you back? Let's master it together. Remember, success isn't beyond the idea maze, it's built inside of the maze. So let's get back to work. And one last thing, click right here to watch my last video and hit subscribe right now to join the fastest growing community of the top future entrepreneurs. So what are you waiting for? And I'll talk to you soon.